We need to be treating our customers like celebrities. We need to have Operation Love. We need to put together a campaign that says we're going to show our clients some just pure love. We're going to send them stuff. We're going to give them stuff. We're going to help them. We're going to go the extra mile.
Welcome to the Agile Digital Transformation Podcast, where we explore different aspects of digital transformation and digital experience with your host, Tim Butera, Content and Community Manager at AgileDrop.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm joined today by Robert Craven, one of the UK's top experts on helping digital agencies grow their business and also the founder of the Grow Your Digital Agency initiative. We have a very interesting and pertinent topic today, namely, how can digital agencies grow their digital transformation products and services during a disruption such as the COVID crisis? Welcome, Robert. It's really great to have you here. I'm sure you'll have some great insights and some very interesting experience to share with us today on this particular topic. And yeah, basically, throughout the entire 2020, we saw a massive rise of digitalization and digital transformation due to COVID-19. My first question for you, Robert, would be, how did you see the first wave in March impact businesses, in particular digital agencies?
Hello, and it's absolutely fantastic to be here with you. It's a real delight to spend this time with you, kind of going through these questions. It's great. So, March 2020. So I'm going to quote Warren Buffett to you. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Okay? Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. We didn't realize how good we had it in 2019. In 2019, it was, it's so difficult getting customers. It's so customers are it's so difficult getting staff. We had no idea what tough really looks like. And I think when COVID came, we became aware of the agencies who had been swimming naked. The ones who didn't have deep pockets because they hadn't been profitable, the ones who didn't have decent funnels of potential customers because they hadn't been good at business development. And that became absolutely apparent only when COVID came in. And so we work with 250 roughly digital agencies here, as in work intimately with them. And we saw four different sections. We saw the top 15%, and they were what we describe as the ones who thrived. March 20 never had it so good because they were in gambling, because they were in green grocery, because they were in garden centers. Boom, clients can't get enough of them. Everyone can't get enough of them. Everyone's trying to get up to speed. I reckon there's about 15%, and I think there still are 15% who are doing phenomenally well. About 35% are what I describe as surviving. So we have 50% above the line who are okay, and then we have 50% beneath the line. The 50% beneath the line, 40% of those are struggling, 10% are dying. Now, this is kind of this is what people say about themselves as to where they are. My suspicion is that there aren't as many agencies, what I would call struggling, as think they are struggling. In other words, because of this grey hair and because of all the recessions I've gone through, I think there's a lot of agencies who've never had it so tough. They've never gone through a recession. They don't know what it's like to have 3 years of hard work without much pay. They don't know what it's like to have clients with no money. But everyone's kind of going through it. And I think what happened, to answer the question, how was that first wave? Really, really tough. People just didn't know what the heck was going on. We were running webinars every night, 100, 200 people turning up every night for like 3-4 hours. And not only did people not know what was going on, but they weren't able, or they failed, actually is a better word, to help their clients. Their clients were looking to them to help them navigate. And they were too self-centered, worrying about how am I going to have people working from home? How are we going to sell if we can't go into their offices? I think too many agencies were too self-centered, and they didn't see that this was a golden opportunity to go out to their clients and say to their clients, you must be confused. Let me help you navigate. Let me help you understand what's going on. And then, of course, there's being in the right sector or being in the wrong sector. So I have some clients who are in the hotel industry, wrong sector. Wedding industry, wrong sector. Gambling, right sector.
Okay, so maybe now let's focus a little bit more on the 15% that were kind of in the most successful group. So the ones that were basically thriving since March 2020. What were some of the quickest and some of the most effective reactions that you saw these kinds of companies make, and what made their responses so effective?
Good question. So I think the ones who are surviving, the ones who are thriving now are the ones who were thriving before. Mm-hmm. They are thriving because they have 50 or 100 staff. So they have a wide portfolio of clients, and they have a wide portfolio of clients from long-term to short-term assignments. Because they're in that 50 to 100 staff area, their clients tend to be larger, with larger budgets. So it's like a budget for the year. And they tend to be dealing with a marketing director, not an owner. And so the business has got more stability because of the size of the clients. Mm-hmm. However, the ones who switched from being a nobody to actually starting to thrive, I think, which I think is interesting, and this is like the smaller independent agencies, they kind of stopped what I would call ostrich marketing. You know, the ostrich puts its head in the sand. Mm-hmm. They actually lifted their head up and they actually said, what on earth is it that clients want right now? And the problem for lots of agencies is, you know, if an agency is a hammer, they think all problems are a nail. Mm-hmm. So they just tell everyone this is what you need. And I think by ending ostrich marketing, you go out, you engage, you find out what clients really want, and you're willing to change and adjust not only the assignments you currently have, but what you have. So what were the successful agents doing? They stopped the ostrich marketing. They went out and found out what their clients wanted. They engaged. They became obsessed with cash. You know, don't worry about profit. You know, like right now, all we need to do is we need cash flow, you know, week by week, day by day for some people, month by month, because we've got staff. We're not, depending on which country you're in, you may have no money for your staff. You may have to turn your staff off. And you need to get the cash in really, really quickly. And that's what they did. There's one agency I work with, all their salespeople, because sales had stopped, they just flipped their salespeople to being cash collectors, phoning up. Can you give me? Obsessed with measurement, actually not just selling anything, but making sure what they were selling was profitable, and starting to measure again week by week, not quarter by quarter. Figuring out who in the agency, because people had to lay off or make redundant or sack, or if you're lucky in the UK, you could furlough where the government would pay. You had to figure out who in your team added great value to the clients so that you had to keep them and protect them, and who were the dead wood that you could happily remove. And I think the difference between the agencies that were successful and weren't successful is some agencies just pretended it wasn't happening, and they were quite indecisive, and they were quite slow, and they were waiting for Google or Facebook or YouTube to tell them what they should and shouldn't do. But the grown-ups kind of realized that it was up to them to make the decision now. And you know, it became really obvious very quickly that this wasn't going to go away, and therefore you couldn't just like do little cuts. You had to be, you know, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's horrible. Sometimes you have to just cut limbs off. And I think there was that, and I think also rational decision making rather than emotional decision making. What facts can we find? Let's make a decision based on what we know rather than how we feel.
So, and then kind of going from the first wave to the second wave, like there probably people had a kind of a little bit or a much easier time now in the second wave, because they already, you know, had some processes established from March, from the first wave. So do you think there were any key lessons learned during the first wave that kind of helped facilitate this whole process then in the second wave and kind of made it?
Yeah. So I think so one of the big one for me was, or is, compete on the value that you add. The trouble we have as agencies is that people can buy anything that anyone who's listening is doing. People can buy that from Bangalore for $5 an hour. Okay, so you need to compete on the value that you add to the client, and you need to make that explicit to the client. You need to say to the client, in the last quarter you gave us $10,000, and for that $10,000 you made 10,000 sales at $10 each, which mean you need to be really clear about the value that you're adding. I think it's about going up the food chain and selling expertise rather than just what I call digit monkeys. So it's selling expertise and brain power, selling strategy. That way you're talking to the marketing director rather than the marketing executive. So it's trying to get into the boardroom. I think there's a recognition that cross-selling and upselling is way more easier than business development. Business development, especially in lockdown, is really, really tough. Nobody has budget. But cross-selling and upselling, so back to, if you were delivering value before, and if you were successful before, cross-selling and upselling is way easier. You can have the conversation. I think one of the surprises has been that despite what I've just said, in terms of business development, cost of customer acquisition has never been so cheap. So before Christmas, just gone, before Christmas 2019, you run an event, you have 100 people at the event, you do 100 personal invitations, you take 5 staff, you give everyone breakfast, you give them coffee, you give them lunch, you give them a glass of wine, you give them a goodie pack, you pay for the hotel, and you get 10 people say they're interested in talking further with you, and it may have cost you $5,000. You may have cost you $2,000 for the hotel, and then $1,000 for the food, and then $1,000 in staff cost, and then another $1,000 in goodie bags and follow. It may cost you $5,000 to get 10 possible leads. Now, you just run a webinar on Zoom, you get 100 people turn up. It costs you $10, and okay, so I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the customer acquisition can be cheaper now than it's ever been. The next thing I think is that I think we've learned is it's all about engagement, engaging with your staff and engaging with your customers, really connecting, really being pretty open and transparent to doing them. And I think we have discovered, I hope, that digital marketing is the new rent. When the old rent was on the high street, digital marketing is the rent that people pay. So more and more our clients are realizing that if they want to sell their product, then they need to be on Amazon, or they need to be on Google, or they need to be advertising in Facebook or via YouTube. And so we're in this wonderful position of being the landlord or being access to the landlord. So that's really exciting.
This was actually a really nice lead into my next question, because the next thing that I wanted to mention is, obviously, since we're now all relying on the digital basically for everything, it's ubiquitous, it's you're on it every day on different devices, different channels. But despite all of that, despite digital agencies having the obvious advantage of working in the digital industry, there were still probably a lot of challenges that some or a lot of them face. Like, what were some of the main challenges for digital agencies in 2020 that you've seen?
Yeah, so I think so what's happened in 2020 is we've had 4 years of, I hate the word digital transformation, but 5 years of digital transformation that digital agencies have been wanting forever, and it's all come at once. And loads of clients aren't up to speed. Now, I see that as an opportunity, because I think part of the problem is that too many agencies say, oh, we're a digital agency, we do PPC. And the clients are saying, can you help us understand what our inventory is? Can you help us have a process whereby we get a lead from a website, and then that goes to the warehouse, and that goes to the to the driver, and then we know when it's being delivered. And loads of agencies, that certainly the pure digital marketing agencies, have said, no, we just do PPC. And I think that's been a real opportunity to take part in digital transformation. So the problem, as you describe it, are client uncertainty and client default. That's been a real issue that people have struggled to deal with. I think the other things would be internally, staff mental health and culture, getting up to speed with systems, understanding how to manage, and I think for the agencies, learning how to let go, learning how to allow people to work from home, and so on and so forth. So loads of challenges for agencies. And I think also one about values, that lots of agencies claimed that they were open and we're a family and we're friendly and we love each other. And then when push has come to shove, many of those agencies have not behaved consistently with their values. They've treated their staff really badly.
Yeah, I think this wasn't a particularly uncommon trend in 2020. Okay, another related question to this, like I'm thinking now about agencies that were focusing on a particular niche that was really heavily impacted. Like, in this respect, would you still recommend that agencies put all of their eggs in one basket and kind of go heavy in on one niche, or are there new things that we should consider and take into account now?
Yeah, so I am a big fan of niching, because I think you very rapidly know more than your clients do about your niche. So if you look at David Gilroy at Conscious Solutions, they only work with lawyers. He knows more about what a law firm marketer's facing. He knows more about the cost of customer acquisition. He knows more about the lifetime value of a customer. He knows more about where lawyers look and read than his clients do. So I'm a great fan of niching. And niching also means you can charge a premium price. It also means that your marketing and your cost of marketing gets much easier. However, we did have several clients in more than just vulnerable sectors which have died. Cocktail bars, weddings at hotels. I mean, double whammy, hotels. And those, they literally lost 50% of their clients on day one, and then the remaining 50% on day two. So I think there's two things that those agencies could do or did do. Either you reimagine yourself. You either close down as a hospitality agency and say, so what I do, which is PPC and content management, I can take that same skill set and I can just reinvent myself, except now we do it for grocery stores or garden centers or outdoor play areas or whatever it is. Or you say, okay, I'm staying in this niche because I believe in it, and I'm going to get as much support as I can by giving generously to this niche and maybe changing my product offering. So therefore, that means you start doing, as well as doing PPC, if you're a PPC agency, you might start doing web design, you might start doing email campaigns, you might start doing graphic design, you might start doing marketing stuff. And the question always was, how long is this thing going to last? Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be 6 months? Is it going to be a year? So we're back to, how deep are your pockets? In other words, how long can you survive? Which is a function of how profitable you were last year. And secondly, how deep is your funnel? How good does your business development mean in terms of having clients around you? So let me try and answer the question head on. Should you niche? I think what we've learned is it's probably better to have 3 or 4 niches. So you have your main brand, and maybe what you do is you say, and we have a unit which specializes in lawyers, a unit that specializes in hotels, and a unit that specializes in healthcare. I guess that's what wisdom has told us. But at the time, niching seemed to be a really splendid idea. So I still am a fan of focusing on core areas. But I think that one of my niche clients, their niche was gambling, online gambling, and of course they've never had it busier.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of luck involved, as is always the case.
So yeah, it's like don't like denounce niching altogether, but just like don't immediately denounce other possibilities. Like keep your options at least a little bit open and allow yourself to be at least a little bit flexible, so that you don't go out of business with a major disruption if your area is the one that gets affected.
I think it's really difficult, because there's not a one size fits all answer. I think to my mind, the key thing is about what do your customers want? What are they looking for? What do they need? And each of us has a different black book with different people in the black book. And so some of us have a black book full of marketing directors, sometimes it's marketing managers, sometimes it's over a number of different industries. And depending on which town you're in and what a level of competition there is, will determine what's right. I think the important thing is that the COVID allowed us to kind of reinvent ourselves and recreate ourselves. And I think the ones who will survive are the ones who haven't doggedly said, we do SEO, we're an SEO agency, we're an SEO agency, but actually the ones who've gone, wow, SEO and content management and PR are so close. What people really want right now is PR. So we could recreate ourselves as that. And I think there's space for in the same way I think there's space for full service agencies versus pure performance agencies, and there's space for we're a HubSpot specialist or a Google specialist or an Amazon specialist. I think there's kind of space for it all, but I think you kind of need to move around and kind of figure out where the open doors are and figure out where they love you most, and figure out where you're getting the most resistance. I mean, and we should all be doing this for all of our products. Before this call, I was literally having a conversation with my marketing director saying, look, we've got these 4 basic products that we sell, and 1 and 2 are fantastic, and 3 and 4 are struggling a bit. So let's just go through the options for product 4. We could kill it. Did you just say that? Yeah, we could kill it. Then we'd only have 3. Wouldn't life be easier for everyone? Or we could pivot. We could change the market, change the price, change the product, change the offer, change the way we do it. Yeah. Or we could persevere as it is now. So we could kill, stick or twist, whatever it is. And I think what COVID's done is it's hopefully forced agencies to if they've got 5 offerings, that they reduce that to 3, or if they had 3 and there's something really sexy that they think they can do, that they can move off and do that. But not just to think it's going to be business as usual, because I just don't think that the way your agency ran in December 2019 and the way it's going to run in December 2021, it's not going to be the same. Clients want stuff in a different way than they did before, and I think we just need to recognize that.
Yeah, those are definitely some key points and some excellent advice. I hope our listeners will find it helpful and probably use it in some of their own practices and to streamline their processes. Thanks, Robert. Okay, yeah, nice. You're following my thoughts so perfectly, because now I just wanted to transition talking about growth opportunities for agencies. And, some of the industries that we saw massive growth in this year were, for example, video chat, video call services, for example, Zoom, which we're using right now, and stuff like food delivery services. Would you say that with the growth of these industries, that the growth in these industries also opens up more opportunities for growth in digital agencies?
Yes. So it's a bit like a Wild West, so you can imagine the guys at Zoom, we wish we could grow faster. We wish we could grow faster. We wish we could grow faster. March the 17th. What's happening? It's like, what's happening to our machines? Everything's gone mad. So those people, so firstly, digital, what are digital agencies? If it's about digital marketing, you need more marketing to look after your brand when you're in a growth spurt than when you're struggling to get clients. The need to get the messaging and the voice correct, the need to be talking to the right people in the right manner is even more important when you're growing really, really quickly than when you're growing slowly. Secondly, it is uncharted territory, and therefore people needed to figure out. I mean, if you just looked at how the large corporates were so bad at advertising, every single corporate, from car manufacturers to burger manufacturers, we're in this together. No, we're not in this together. You're trying to sell me stuff. Don't tell me, don't give me videos of children looking up at trees and birds flying. You're not in this together. This is blatantly, nasty American marketing. So you need your agencies on side more so than ever. And then I think secondly, the digital transformation piece is the opportunity that I think many agencies have chosen to pretend isn't there. Now I get why. I totally get why. The problem is, that most digital agencies have one particular excellent skill set. It's like driving a car. And then when you say to them, hey, you can drive a car, why don't you drive a motorbike? Wouldn't that be fun? Because it's very much like a car. In other words, it's digital stuff, but it goes faster and it's quicker. You have the wind in the hair. It makes you more sexy in front of other people. And no, I'm happy driving a car. And I think that agencies have been quite conservative in sticking to what they're doing, whereas their clients have just seen the word digital and they just think, well, surely you can help me, because if you can't help me, I'll go and find someone else. So the more entrepreneurial agencies have opened up their offerings to respond to what clients are asking for. Now, for agencies, the opportunities, I think, which have been really interesting are, who'd have thought working from home works? A year ago, I've got to have my staff in here. I'll let some of them take Friday off, but I need to have to see. Who'd have thought you can pitch to your biggest client without attending, without 5 of you getting in a car and driving for 3 hours and sitting in a burger bar for an hour while you wait, and then going in and then waiting? And who'd have thought you could do that live? That saved us so much time. That saved us so much travel. More importantly for agencies, who'd have thought that it no longer mattered where your agency was based? In the UK, which is where I am, an agency down in the southwest would always be saying, oh, we're down in the southwest. We can only employ people within 30 miles. Everyone in London knows that we're not from London, so we can't charge. Now, if you're an Exeter agency in the southwest, nobody cares whether you've got staff in Bolivia or Kathmandu or Exeter or London, and likewise, clients are a lot more relaxed about where your agency comes from. So it's kind of new rules time, which I think is really exciting. And I think that growth spurt has been emphasized by those agencies who are doing really well. And they're saying, hi, we're doing really well. This is really exciting. And those who are assuming that because they're suffering themselves, that their clients are suffering as well. So they go and visit clients going, how is it? Is it okay? It's tough, isn't it? Losing staff and reducing salaries. And there's lots of clients out there who are doing really well. Remember, a recession, the standard definition of a recession is a 10% reduction in gross domestic product. 10% reduction in spend. That's all. I mean, it's not. I know it feels like the economy is crashing by a load more than 10% when you're looking at shops that are shut and so on and so forth. But across the economy, in the UK and US, they thought they thought in March that the economy might slow down by as much as, 11%.
Wow.
That's not a lot, really. And I totally get, if you're in hospital, if you're in hotels, it's going to be 99% closure. But I just think it's interesting to think about it.
So yeah, with all of this in mind, we're now moving to kind of the titular question of this episode. So growing your digital agency during a disruption. So with all of this in mind, with all of what we've just discussed right now, how can digital agencies take advantage of this COVID-driven digitalization to kind of grow their digital products, to grow their digital services? What would be some main tactics and main considerations?
So firstly and foremostly, I think you need to take a warrior mentality. So I think too many agencies took up like a price taker. Oh, this has happened to me. We need to respond, but not upset anyone. But I think, a warrior has a clarity about mission, and they are working like, and they get up and they do stuff, and they've got a target and a goal, and they don't waste time and they don't waste energy, and they make stuff happen. So I think you need to be a warrior mentality rather than just taking it and being like a punch bag, like it's actually going in positive. I think that COVID, lots of R's here, COVID has given us the opportunity to redesign our agency. Certainly the first month when there's nothing much going on because all businesses stopped, you could redesign, you could refresh, you could reposition in the eyes of the customers, you could repurpose, you could redesign your agency. And what should you be creating? So here's the quote. The quote is, and this comes from Richard Koch: create an irresistible product that's a joy to use. Create an irresistible product that's a joy to use. I think we've just become 5, 10, 20 years of digital agencies getting up, selling digital marketing, selling web design. The product isn't irresistible. We need to make our product that we sell something that people go, oh gosh, I want some of that. That's gorgeous. That really is solving my problem. So it's back to, what does the customer want? It's back to understanding, let's do stuff that's profitable and let's cut the stuff that's not profitable. It's back to what is on, it's like a 2x2 matrix. What do we do that's profitable and not profitable? And what do we do that is getting bigger and louder for the customers, be it customer segments or products, and what's on the downs? 2x2 matrix. And let's spot the stuff that's profitable and the stuff that's on the up and do more of that. And the stuff that's not profitable and the stuff that's not on the up, let's just drop it. And I think it's about, so that's about the growth bit of it. And then I think there is a whole piece of defense about becoming impregnable, about creating a moat around you. So that's about speed. That's about one of the big things that clients are frustrated about is that they want stuff now, especially from digital. So we no longer need to say, we'll meet you in 10 days time, and then we'll do an audit of your accounts, and then we'll make recommendations, and then we'll have a meeting with you. Clients want you to start tomorrow. And yes, you haven't got the audit in place, and yes, you haven't got to have everything in place, but it's the mindset needs to shift. So that's one. So I think it's about speed. I think, and clients love speed. I think it's about creating flywheels. So awesome work creates awesome testimonials, creates awesome marketing material, creates more clients. It's like getting a positive cycle going in your agency. Your superpower, the superpower that agencies have, which they have ignored, is that the customer is king. The superpower they've ignored is customer service. If the next customer who was coming into your office, so to speak, was Robert De Niro or whoever your hero is, Sylvester Stallone, whatever it is, the brothers from Oasis, whoever your heroes are, you would make a real effort to make sure the place is tidy, have the right coffee, phone them to make sure they were coming, give them a car parking space, have the papers prepared for them, play the right music, have flowers on the table, all that kind of stuff. But we don't do that for our other customers. We don't treat them like celebrities. We need to be treating our customers like celebrities. We need to have Operation Love. We need to put together a campaign that says we're going to show our clients some just pure love. We're going to send them stuff. We're going to give them stuff. We're going to help them. We're going to go the extra mile. And then I think there's a piece around making stuff frictionless. You know, how easy is it for someone to speak to you? I think it's pretty easy because I've got a Calendly link and da 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 da. Is that easy for the client because they've got to go to your Calendly link, then they click, and then maybe they don't have a Google Calendar, and maybe we need to just think about how can we make every step of the way as frictionless as possible. We need to make our offerings really simple and seductive.
So the key bits of advice here would be a warrior, be willing to reinvent yourself, act fast, and this last one escaped me. What was it again?
Frictionless.
Yes, of course.
Like Teflon.
Nice. Yes, some really, really key bits of advice here. They're right in the end. I'm sure that this will be very helpful to our listeners. Thank you so much, Robert. Before we finish, if people want to reach out to you or to learn more about you, where can they do that?
2 places they can do that. So I run the Guida Initiative. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but GYDA for Grow Your Digital Agency, guidainitiative.com. Easier. guidainitiative.com. Easier is robert-craven.com, robert-craven.com. But all the usual social media channels. But Guida Initiative will get us on Facebook, Twitter.
Cool. I'll make sure to include that in the link section.
Lovely.
Well, thanks again so much, Robert. It was a really, really great chat. I really enjoyed talking with you today. And to our listeners, that's all for this episode. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to check out our other episodes, you can find all of them at agiledrop.com/podcast, as well as on all the most popular podcasting platforms. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes, and don't forget to share the podcast with your friends and colleagues.